Hi everybody, how you doing? I'm Pavs, a rising VTuber and artist, and today we're going to be working a little bit more on the page that we started this week. I think, yeah, this week is when we started the page. I was going to say we started it yesterday. That's not true, but I'm excited to start working on it again. I think we're going to progress a little bit more quickly this time around since I finally understood like what I was going for with the poses. So I think that's going to be, it's going to help streamline the process a little bit. Let's head into the working screen. Okay. Here we go. Okay, let's see here. Oh, yes, I've also found out some new tricks to replace the cross-hatching, or like the halftone that I was using. So I mentioned last night that I was, trying to figure out how to make sure that the cross-hatching or like the halftoning look good, and I ended up replacing it with this hatching brush that I found on the Clip Studio Asset Store. I think it looks pretty clean. I think it definitely like retains more detail. I like that it doesn't like change as I scroll out or like as I change perspective. I think that's very important because that also means that it's not going to, do something strange once it's printed in another medium. It's going to look more or less the same no matter like everywhere it goes. So I think that's an important thing. But yeah, so you can see that I've replaced it here. I've also made some changes to this page that I talked about yesterday, like for example, removing the white bar that's right here. I think that just flows a little bit better. I added this action line here. I've been a busy young lad. But they're all really important changes because I feel like I especially like how the hatching came out in this panel. I really like how it came out. But yes, I've been a busy young man. I have been working hard. And today we're going to work hard again. Working on this comic is honestly a lot of fun. But I think like if I do work on a comic again, I need to also like figure out, because like we've been planning this thing since I think mid-November. Definitely like we planned it by December it was like underway. Yeah. I'm just bad at remembering dates, to be honest. It's probably been even earlier than November. Probably sometime in October is when we started talking about this. Summoner Rice Feast. You got it. Let me just drag this guy over here. There we go. Yeah, we'll just keep him tucked away there. For safekeeping, you understand. These rascals might just wander off if you don't keep a close eye on them. But yeah, like I said, I think if I do another project where I'm working on a comic, I am going to need to. Well, first of all, I'm going to need to make sure that the pants there don't intersect with the action line like that. And second of all, I'm going to need to figure out how to add the spear there. But I'm also going to, like, going back to my original point, I need to figure out how to also budget time for personal drawings, because it's not like I can't do personal drawings, but I feel like because I've been working on this for so long now, I need to get it finished. I don't think that's what I meant to do. There we go. But yeah, I'm going to take it to mean that I'm just motivated to continue on it. Let's see. Hang on. Is that okay? That's the other hand. Okay, I see. Yeah. I'm glad that I made, I didn't make anything. But I've never made a single thing in my life, to be perfectly honest. That's not true. Anyway, I'm glad that these robots are supposed to be like maids and not like trained warriors, because I think something that I still struggle with is understanding like the grip style of different weapons. So, for example, right now I'm basically like making this maid swing this thing like it's like a golf club. A really big, angry golf club. Yeah. It's completely messed up in the head that one of the things that I learned to do as a child was to golf. there was like, so I lived in like this compound, right, as a kid, where a bunch of other people were just hanging out. Um, and for some reason, this compound, besides having like a normal like basketball court or like, like tight knit communities often have some kind of like sports field. I think we had like a basketball court and a football court, kind of like in the area. But for some reason, and I cannot fathom why, they also apparently had a golf range, not a golf course, a golf range. Like essentially, if you don't know what a golf range is, it's you have like a bunch of different stands. Imagine like a bowling alley, but instead of throwing like a big heavy ball at a bunch of pins, you're essentially just trying to drive the ball as far as you want it to go. I'm not sure if it's as far as you can possibly make it go. I'm not sure if that's kind of like the goal of it. I have not been to that driving range. I don't think I would have understood what was going on in there, even if I had known English at that point. Yeah, objectively speaking, as a sport, golf is kind of mid. You know, there's like technique to it, and there is like, an art to it, but I don't think like I feel like it to make golf more interesting, it would almost need to be like an all-terrain sport because I feel like they're not nearly utilizing the idea that you can just smack a ball anywhere and track it now nearly as much as we could be. In the World Cup, they install like I read this the other day, right? In the World Cup, they installed like sensors and stuff in the soccer balls or in the footballs, I should say, to kind of figure to kind of like make the refs' jobs easier, right? I'm saying if we can do that to a football, we can definitely get some kind of tracking chip inside of a golf ball and essentially just have like all-terrain golf. I don't know how you would score in that game though. Like I imagine it would almost be like a geocaching kind of deal, like where you would have to essentially sally forth into the forest, figure out where the hell it's almost like a triathlon if a triathlon involved a treasure hunt. You would need to go into the forest, you would need to figure out where the hole is supposed to be, and then you need to get your ball there. I feel like that would be a much more interesting experience than just whatever the hell you do in golf. Yeah. It'd take a lot less like pruning too, although it would increase the chances of you getting eaten by a bear. I don't know how likely it is that somebody's been like mauled by a bear while playing golf, but I do not believe the possibilities are zero. I just don't believe it. Because statistically speaking, right, golf fields are a gigantic waste of space because they require you to have like a perfectly manicured greenery. And what I'm saying is that if you needed to have like manicured greenery, that means that there was unmanicured greenery there before. So unless you fucking you've terraformed an entire valley, which is still a bad idea. It was probably not terraformed for a reason before you showed up. You would need to, essentially take over as the effective apex predator in the area, which also means that there is a non-zero chance that like a forest that was cut down to like make room for a golf course, which sounds like something out of a like old 1980s cartoon episode about like global warming. I feel like that's a non-zero possibility. I do sincerely feel that somebody would have like, delumbered a forest just to make a golf course. And furthermore, I believe that after that forest was cut down, hang on, I gotta get a good look at this spear again. Okay, yeah, I see. And furthermore, I believe that after that forest was cut down, the bears that used to live there came back. And, they woke from hibernation and just went to their normal, like, treading habits. I don't know if bears... I know birds have, like, sensors in their brains for, like... Like, I remember, like, birds have essentially, like, built-in GPS somehow. I think it has something to do with, like, the magnetic fields on Earth or something like that. I'm not sure. Do not quote me on this. But hang on. But that being said, I think like bears would, if a bear hibernated somewhere, it would probably make it stomp. It would probably have its stomping grounds like somewhere nearby, right? Like logically speaking. Oops. So I feel like it's not a great stretch to like argue that there is a statistical, not likelihood, but statistical potential that somebody accidentally got mauled by a bear while playing golf because they decided to build their course on the bear's one's home. It's like Goldilocks, but I'm not sure what the lesson in this one would be. I guess don't deforest places would be a pretty good lesson to take away from that experience. If I was a golfing man. Okay, no, hang on. This is not going to work. Yeah. Okay, so the phrase "if I was a betting man," right? That's established to be like pretty common, right? That's not like a weird thing to utter. But I feel like they're and naturally speaking, hang on, simplify, lower that. Naturally speaking, if the phrase "if I was a betting man" got popularized, that means that variations of it could also be recognized as cromulent in the English vernacular. So, what if some dude just came up to you one day and said, like, well, if I was a farming man, because I think that's still, you're still kind of speaking from empathy. The phrase "if I was a betting man," right? That implies that you're not normally a betting person, but you have knowledge of their, of their mindset, of their understanding of how betting works. So what I'm saying is that, you could very easily substitute that for any other career / profession / skill. And it would still be a perfectly logical sentence, but everybody would look at you weird for using it. Bonus points, I think, if whatever you say that you aren't, or like if you say like if I was an X or Y, whatever the hell you were mentioning is actually what you are. So like if I said like, now if I was a numbers man, which strictly speaking I am, numbers are my job. I feel like that'll be a good way to like get a kick out of your coworkers. The other day, my mom and I had a discussion. We were talking over the phone, right? She was like, Pabs, I made like this post on Instagram. Go take a look at it." And she was essentially asking me for like a checkup on the grammar that she was using for the post. My mom's handle on English is pretty strong, but she still needs help from time to time. And she was essentially asking me like, okay, so I have like a tiny like wood heart decoration here, right? Like it's just a heart with like a little made of wood, and it's got like a little Photoshop text put on top of it. Normal stuff, good taste, honestly. And she asked me, would you call it a wood heart or a wooden heart? And then the night took a turn, because in my mind, wood heart and wooden heart are kind of both interchangeable, really, because wooden heart just means like a heart made of wood, but a wood heart is also like a heart made of wood, I think. Much like how you can say like a stone table. You can, or like a I don't know, plastic chair. You would say maybe like a wood heart, but she pointed out as well that like you wouldn't actually call it like a wood chair, for example. You would call it a wooden chair. So I was wondering what was right with that. Because I kind of came to the conclusion at the end of the day that like wood heart implies that it is like a heart of the woods, while wooden heart means that it is a heart made of wood. I think that's kind of like the gonna be the main takeaway from me. Because I'm not gonna lie, this linguistic stuff is hard even years after I've stopped learning new things of English. Or once soon enough, one day, and I dread the day this will come. Most of my vocabulary will be like meme phrases that are just spread among my friend group, and while that's fun and funny, I dread that what it'll do to my actual speaking skills. I've already started saying like my brother in Christ casually. So I kind of dread and fear what'll happen if like one day I just like say something almost out of instinct and it's going to be a problem. I'm just like looking into a grim future in like 3 or 4 years where I like make an offhand Homestuck joke at my workplace and somehow somebody recognizes it. The issue mainly being not that I made a Homestuck joke, but that somebody recognized it as such. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. What's that one phrase, right? Like, you know, the only way to avoid problems is to not get caught or something. Same deal. Like as long as nobody understands what you're referencing, it's fine, but sometimes when people do understand what you're referencing, it's worse. Hang on, let me simplify this sucker. Or actually, let's just get rid of them altogether. Hang on. Yeah, I've started to adopt this workflow, I think, where more often than not, after a piece is finished is when I'll start, or not even after a piece is finished, after a page is finished is when I can start really taking a look at it. So I've started taking the attitude, right, that, or even a panel, right, when I finish a panel, after I finish that panel, I'll like take a look at it in a more objective light, really. Hang on. Okay, what would Okay, I would definitely need to again kind of expand the strike zone of this swing. Can I do that still? Like, is that still feasible? I reckon so. There we go. Little to the right. I almost need. Okay, I think what I need to do is I also need to grab this second line right here and work on that one almost more independently. There we go. Yeah, I think that's going to be it. I think that's going to be the way to do it. Still, this is a massive swing. I hope it doesn't take up too much of the real estate on the page. Although, to be perfectly honest, the more of the background that it can cover up, the better. Not because the background is particularly bad, but because it's just like in a very simplistic style. I feel like it almost delivers more punch by being blocked out. That makes sense. Hmm. Yeah, I think this would be good. There we go. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Oops. I accidentally pulled out that page that I had open there. I don't know how to put it. Like, whenever that happens, it almost like. Do you remember being like 8 or 12 years old and you just kept erasing a bit of the page on like an exam or something, or like on some notes that you were taking? You kept erasing and you kept erasing it, and felt the paper getting like thinner and thinner, but you were convinced that like this was going to be the last time you erase anything, and then all of a sudden you like make a hole in the paper. I feel like that's almost how that feels. Like that, like it's a moment of heated passion where it happens. God, I think if that happened to me right now, I think like that really would be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I'm in a great place mentally. It's just that it's been a long day, and I feel like it wouldn't take very much to make me snap. Well, no, I feel like no. I think more so than like, oh, it's been a long day, etc. I think more so than that. I think it's just like, how do I put this? Like, I think I've always hated when that happened because I feel like I've mentioned this before. I'm fine with like breaking things or throwing them away, but I need to know for certain that I'm doing it both on purpose and like in a way that doesn't like hurt the object, if that makes sense. How do I put this? Like if I break a chair in like one of those like smashing rooms that I've been hearing so much about, right? I don't feel too torn up about it. I don't imagine I would get too torn up about it anyway. I haven't had the pleasure of trying out one of those rooms yet. I feel like it's bad. It would be bad for me personally to try that. But what I'm thinking would happen is that like I would feel kind of bad for the chair, but like at the end of the day, it was a chair slated for destruction. It was gonna go sooner or later. It might as well be me that does the finishing blow. But like if it's like a chair that I just use normally, and because I end up sitting on it wrong, or I end up like crashing into it on accident or something, I end up breaking it. I feel like that would be like devastating to me. I don't know. I'm a complicated person. What's this line here supposed to be anyway? Oh, it's like a little turnaround line. Okay. I feel like that's almost covered by this part though. I think that's fine. There we go. Cowboy hat. Naturally. Hang on. It's been a while since I've dusted off the cowboy hat. Hang on. There we go. Yeehaw. Now, I don't think it's fair that I'm the only one here who gets a cowboy hat. Hang on. Oh, hang on. I think I need to like put it on a different what do you call it, plane. We're gonna make this bit happen. Hang on. The hat consumes all. Mm-hmm. There it is. Now that's what I'm talking about. You're just you're just gonna say walk on by without saying meowdy. Hang on. I almost need to like make it. Okay, that might be too big. That might make the cowboy hat too big. Okay, there we go. The problem with like for me and hats is that like I either need to make them very tiny so that they can rest on top of the rice and kind of cover it up, or I need to make them huge so that they also engulf my dome like this. There's no in between, really. Let me take a sip of water real quick. Oh my god, I just realized that, hang on. For the crowd watching this live, there's like no noise at all in the background. Five head problems, precisely. Yeah, you know, people talk about like being able to play tic-tac-toe on some people's foreheads. That is like minimum level. You could make an entire mural from like coast to coast, hemisphere to hemisphere on my noggin. You know, although I guess that means that I do have like perfect. I am in a perfect position to become like a SoundCloud rapper. I've seen how they cover their faces up in tattoos. You know, I feel like I could pull that off very easily, particularly given that like, you know, in a lot of cases you're working with limited real estate, limited skin real estate if you're using like face tattoos. But like my face is massive, right? And it's like bare all the way around. I never grow hair. It's honestly like, you know, perfect storm is it might be a bit of a stretch, but I do think like I am in a perfect position to get as many face tattoos as possible, given my complexion. Granted, given that I don't technically have skin on my face, it would just be essentially like me paying $80 to a tattoo artist plus tip to make them like doodle on my face for like 3 hours, and I don't know, poke me with a needle every now and again to get the full experience. As long as it's not the teardrop. Wasn't the teardrop like... I remember that the teardrop tattoo meant like you murdered somebody in prison or something. That's what I was told as a kid, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't murder anyone in prison. Not that I'm ever planning to go there. Usually means for gang-related kill. Ah, I see. Let's see here. We draw vector line width. Not quite. There we go. Man, you know what I need to do? Once I start going back to the office more often. Again, I'm kind of like at home, working from home these days for personal reasons. But you know, once I start going back to the office more often, I need to start inviting people to go bowling or something. You know, the other day, one of my coworkers tried to invite everybody to go ice skating. I don't know how that panned out, but I need to start inviting people to go bowling. I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that takes people bowling. Because, you know, you go to a bar, I'm not going to have a great time there. You're supposed to drink stuff there, and I don't really drink alcohol. You go to a bowling alley, though. Bowling is nice. I haven't been in forever. Yeah. I mean, I imagine for most people, it's been a while since they've been bowling. Unless they're, like, you know, avid bowling fans. Most of the time, there's no really, like, pressing reason to go bowling, I suppose. You know, it's not like... You know, it's not like, for example, like going to the beach in the summertime where you like only have one chance per year. or something, you know? Like, the bowling alley is just kind of there. It's waiting for you if you want to go there. Yeah. Bowling alleys are a lot like arcades for me in that I didn't have a chance to go to many, but like whenever I did, it was always a fun time. But like I just never sought it out myself. I think mainly because like going to the arcade and going to the going bowling is usually kind of like a group exercise, and I really like my alone time. All right, we're good for that. Let me actually decrease the line width on some of these lines here. Hmm. There we go. But yeah, going bowling with the coworkers, that's like the dream for me right there. Yeah. And like kind of circling back to the point that I think I was trying to make about the bar, like a lot of the bars also just like focusing on talking to people, and there's a lot of noise. And at least in the bowling alley, there is noise, but you can like, you know, there's usually like booths that you can set up in. It's not like overwhelming noise, which is nice. In some places, I feel like it's so difficult to hear like other people, and it makes it hard enough for me to like hear myself think. I might just not have the clubber's nature. Yeah. Okay. I think these two are just about ready to go. I think in this one I might as well also start drawing Hawk. Okay. I think that one is going to look a little bit like leg, and I think maybe a new vector layer would be a good idea for this. Hang on. Oh, I just I just had like a shotgun of a sneeze just now. Anyway, you guys don't need to know that. Yeah, one of the earliest English phrases my family adopted was TMI. My brother kind of introduced us to the phrase, and like it's been like, you know, I think like it found purchase in our family home very quickly. Okay, so essentially what I'm planning to do is I'm going to have like this right leg kind of sweep around. But then the rest of the body. Hmm. Okay, yeah, this right leg is kind of sweeping to the back essentially. But I don't think I should use a ruler for this at least. Or at least not a completely horizontal one. Yeah, I think like a more diagonal ruler would be a lot better. Slightly diagonal, mind you. Uh, Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to leave that to the very end. I think it would be better if I like. The other thing I do is I try to sketch it out first. I think that's going to save me a lot of time. Okay. So let's use like a pink color here. Okay, so Hawk is standing like this. And she's going to turn around like that to dodge the sword swing. I think then maybe like almost having her hand kind of reach out to the floor would be better. And then Okay, no. Hang on. First, I think left leg would be a good idea. Mm. Okay, and then like that. I could always just change up the position of the legs in panel 3 as well. You know, it's good to have a more fluid idea of like how things can be. So that's how it's going to be. Let me take a look at the next couple pages as well. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think I've got an idea for how to do this. So I think the best way to do it is that rather than to have it in like this weird kind of um like splayed stance, I think it would almost be better to have it be like okay. First of all, I need to fix the proportions in this panel too. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Just going to grab the torsos right here. Elongate them a little bit. Hmm. Okay, you're gonna be able to see one of the petticoats in here. Is that what this thing is called? Or I need to get up to date on my like Victorian dress information, or I guess back to date. Yeah, once a style is kind of permanently out of commission. Well, no, like Victorian fashion, I think could still like make a comeback. I just don't think it's likely, and I think people can agree that like it had its moment, which is to say, Victorian, the entire Victorian era. Yeah. I remember I remember seeing this one Tumblr post where somebody was like, "Why did we ever stop wearing Victorian era clothing?" And they were like, "To wear Edwardian era clothing, you Georgian rake." Whenever I see people like history buffs fighting like that, I feel like I want to get out a thing of popcorn, because I feel like when like people who are super interested in history kind of start picking fights with each other, I think like that's the most interesting fights kind of on the market, if you will. They're like the unicorn of fights. Because the thing is, right, like in most fights, there is going to be an emotional component. You're not going to be able to get away from that. But unlike in most fights, historian fights are very unique in that, where did the rest of Hawk go? I swear to God, there used to be more of this girl somewhere. Anyway, I can redraw her soon. Hang on, I gotta check something. Blind transformation, sure. Hmm. Okay then. What about... Hmm. I like how I've said, like, first thing more or less the stream, like, I'm hoping we can get some real progress on this done since I've now figured out the poses. It turns out that that's not necessarily speaking true. There we go. Okay, I think that might be a little bit better. Particularly because in the throw in page 7, I feel like it makes more sense if the spear is like almost like flaying, or I guess the iron poker is flaying around. Yeah, I think that's gonna kind of improve the whole thing. Oh yeah. Speaking of things to do for relaxation, well, first of all, why is this text bit here missing from the texture? But anyway, speaking of things to do with relaxation, um, I mentioned sometimes that like when I'm working late at night, or if I'm just like trying to take a break from noise, something that I'll like put on as like background noise is an ASMR stream, or like not even an ASMR stream, like just just like generic ASMR stuff. And I found that it's like very nice for me specifically because like I'm not sure I get the like quote unquote tingles that a lot of people I hear talking about ASMR talk about, but I do enjoy the noise. Like it's very, I don't know how to put it, like it's present but not intrusive to me, right? So I quite enjoy it. And this reminded me that a long time ago I actually did watch like massage ASMRs. I followed this dude called like, it wasn't called like the Pink Barber or something like that. It was just like the ASMR Barber or something. And essentially it was this dude. Hang on, let me see if I can pull up a video of his. Like hang on. Massage. So the thing is, right, this dude with like a shaved head would like go to like different like places, and hang on, where is this guy? Yeah, there he is. Yeah, he's literally called like ASMR Barber. Let's see here. No, no, no. These are all just normal massages. Where's your barbershop stuff? But yeah, essentially. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so. Oh god, that's loud. At least for me. You guys aren't going to be able to hear it. Yeah, here we go. But yeah, the idea is this was from like apparently like one of the younger trainees at the barbershop, and it's just like the angry boy will relax you. But yeah, I really like. I remember watching these videos because like it like felt relaxing, like watching him get massaged, and also because like just because of the nature of the massages he receives, which are usually on his head, what would end up happening is that they would turn like that like bald dome of his just bright pink with how much they were like smacking it around. Like I remember in one of them, it looked like a bruised peach. It was great. Yeah. The most brutal one I think I've seen was this one called like a Systema massage, right? So Systema is a Russian martial art. Like a lot of Russian martial arts, it has like some grappling components, but from what I understand, it's like primarily striking. And I think it was supposed to be like a military martial art, and I think one of the key elements of it is that it's very like analytical. I forget like what its kind of like quote unquote gimmick is. Yeah, Systema is just one of those Western martial arts, particularly like those developed like by the military, for what I should hope are obvious reasons, don't really have like a whole lot of publicized information. I do know that there is like a militarized version of kung fu called Sancho Sanda, or like I think it's just called Sancho now. It used to be called Sanda, but I think now it's just called Sancho. Anyway, uh, I think what this was, what the video I was watching was that this was a massage developed for people for like practitioners of that martial art, but it essentially ended up using like so. What it was is that the masseuse would end up using like these tiny batons, these kind of like tiny like almost like arrow tipped batons essentially to really dig deep in the skin. Like this dude was getting in there. Like he was like really getting at the deep muscle. And he just did that so hard that like red lines would appear on the dude's back. And I remember watching that and being like thrilled. Yeah. It's a little grotesque, but I enjoy them. Yeah, there are also ones that are like more what do you call it, like less intense. Like I remember there was this one of this lady who just went to different like alternative medicine places that offered like very like unique massages. I think one of the ones that I remember that she did was like this one where they put your feet in like a hot pot essentially. Like they had like chili broth and everything, and you would dip your feet inside, and it was supposed to like have some benefit for circulation, which I can believe. I know that like peppers and chilies, what they do is they increase your receptiveness to spice. Hmm. So it makes sense that like it, you know, if you're more sensitive to heat, you'll feel your circulation a little bit better. I think that's kind of the logic behind it. Hmm. There we go. Hang on, I got a better idea. There we go. Okay, I think that's a much better pose for Hawk. And then in this third one, that's going to kind of... Okay, so how can we seek this pose into that pose? Let me grab this one over here real quick. Where'd it go? Oh, I see. It's probably like all the way over here or something. Hang on. Where are you? Oh, okay, it's over there. Hang on. There we go. God, and now I have to like grab this little pointer thing again. Sometimes I feel like transforming items in Clip Studio Paint is just such a federal issue for whatever reason. Okay, how about instead of having the legs pointing towards the the maid, they're again going to be kind of like almost like a almost like an S type pose. Okay. Let me copy and paste this so I don't accidentally like waste anything. Also, I need to like increase her height anyways for proportion reasons. Let me increase the size of that arm too. Now, see, that's too big. I may not still have a full command of the proportions, being who I am, but I do think that might be a bit too big. And then that's almost going to be like a full 180 here. Oh yeah, and with the with like the knee acting as like an almost brace for the gun. Oh, that'll be nice. I guess it's not really a brace; it's more like a tripod. And I guess the cap would actually be a little bit higher because she is wearing those boots. Yeah, boots are a funny thing because they give you like a minimum height which your feet need to be at all times. I've never been a super big fan of boots, but I am grateful that I own a very sturdy pair. Yeah. I don't venture out, being who I am, I don't venture out into the wintertime landscape very often. But when I do, I'm glad that I have like a good pair of boots. Hmm. And it still works with the angle of the... Actually, I might need to adjust the angle of the ray gun a little bit once I get to that part. But yeah, and you know, the backpack that she's been carrying all along, it's going to deploy the little wings. Which are going to look very nice. But I think we're ready to get back into the thick of it with the lines. There we go. Oh yeah, I read on the other day that apparently there was like one of those Twitter polls going around, and apparently the J. Edgar Hoover building was voted as like the ugliest building, or like I think it wasn't even like a vote. I think it was like some dude releasing like a top 10 list of like the ugliest buildings, and for some reason the J. Edgar Hoover building was near the top of the list. If you've never seen the J. Edgar Hoover building, it's kind of where the FBI hangs out. It looks I had pictures of it somewhere around here. Here we go. This is the J. Edgar Hoover building. And apparently, like, some dude on Twitter thought that this was the ugliest building. And I am not disinclined to agree. But I will say that, like, the coolest pure concrete cement, that's concrete, baby. But yeah, the best concrete building I've seen in my life is this, hang on. What's it called? Like... So there's this like slaughterhouse in Shanghai that was repurposed to become a shopping mall. Hang on. Where is it? Yeah, I think this is the place. So this is the front of the building. But the thing is that within the building, there was like an experimental like slaughterhouse design where essentially it was like all ramps except for places that had stairs. So the ramps were made for like cattle to walk on because, you know, cows don't really do stairs, as far as I understand it. But yeah, but the inside looks like this more than the outside, and it is so cool. Yeah, the only other place that I can think of that's like nearly as interesting as that is probably like the M50 district. That it's also, I think, in Shanghai. Pain. Why pain? This place looks cool as hell to me. Mobility nightmare. Okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like, all of these are ramps, but it's still not great. But yeah, the M50 district in... Yeah, just because they're ramps doesn't mean that people can use them, right? I should remember that. But yeah, was it the M50 district? Yeah, I think it was. So there's this place called the M50 district in Shanghai. This is like the entrance to it, from what I remember. And yeah, here's an alternate one. Essentially, it was like an industrial era, kind of, not even industrial era, industrial area. It was like a bunch of factories that were abandoned after the Chinese Revolution. And essentially, after a while, they were repurposed to just become a bunch of galleries and museums. Dope as hell. Now that's pretty cool, yeah. That's happened a couple of times, actually. It's kind of a running theme in China that, like, a place that used to be like an industrial factory became like an art gallery. I remember there's another one that they essentially converted a massive power station into an art gallery. Power station, Shanghai. Yeah, this thing. Tell you, this is like the roof site of it. But let's see if I can get a better vantage picture. Yeah, this would be like the main floor of it on the inside. That one was massive, though. Like, I think, you know, it's not like power plants are particularly small, but it's like way bigger than either of the ones that I've shown before. Or actually, no, it's probably smaller than the slaughterhouse. Yeah, I think it goes like slaughterhouse, Well, no, like in terms of like sheer building scale, right? It goes slaughterhouse, power factory, and power plant, and then the M50 district, because the M50 district just has like normal sized buildings. But yeah, very cool art galleries. More places should try and do that, I feel. You know, instead of turning them all into like spirit Halloweens, we need to be able to like turn them into art galleries on a more permanent basis. Artists just don't squat in buildings like they used to. There's no money in it these days. Back in the day, you could feed an entire family by making an art gallery out of like a power station. Now you need to make like 50 power stations into a single art gallery to even earn your daily bread. Okay, so I think step one is going to be adding that. Merge that. The snout on the helmet is still something that's consistently proving to be hard. There we go. Yeah, I say like the snout is proving to be consistently difficult, as if I didn't just do it in like 30 seconds. Listen, everything is difficult to me until I do it, and then it's no longer difficult. If you always act like you're being overtaxed, it's still gonna look impressive every single time. Well, is that one Calvin and Hobbes strip where like he says that like he deliberately gets bad grades because like then he doesn't, not only because like he's not great at studying, but also because like or rather than he's not great at studying, he just doesn't want to study. And he states that even if he wanted to get better grades, he doesn't on purpose, so that like, you know, people like retain like lower expectations and less is asked of him. Yeah. Sometimes that is a trick. That is a trick to it, that you just need to figure out like the right balance of understanding like how much you can be of service to others while also having enough time for the things that you enjoy. Or not even enjoy, just having enough time to like breathe, really. Let's see. Okay, yep. And then there we go. What did I have back here anyway? Oh, it's like okay, it's the background, I see. Hmm. No, hang on. Okay, let's flip this around a little bit so that we can get a better angle on this curve. Nice, okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, speaking of weird uses for things you wouldn't normally think of. I learned the other day that apparently, you know how like some people use sheep to like pedicure grass? You know, like how some people like just use sheep to like tend to the grass in their area? Apparently people do the same thing to grow rice, but instead of using sheep, they use ducks to keep away the parasites. Now, obviously this won't work once the rice is like starting to sprout, because you know the ducks will just eat the rice. But if you get them in like while the rice is still like kind of germinating and everything, it kind of like acts as a natural pest control. Did you just say sheep to pedicure grass? Is that not what it? Have you not heard of that? Like that, I distinctly remember that or is it manicure grass? It might be manicure grass. But yeah, no, that is the thing that people do. That like do use sheep to like keep, or goats. I've also seen the video of ducks released onto the rice field. And no. Okay, yeah, no. I think I remember seeing like somebody like say that like they used sheep to like keep grass tidy. Not like as a general thing of practice. I think it was more like a fringe benefit of owning sheep that they were expressing. No, the saying. Oh, like manicuring or pedicuring grass. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's not. Or I guess it would be like keeping the grass. Never say. I heard somebody say pedicure grass. I remember somebody say like manicure the grass, but like I think pedicure might not be it for sure. I don't know why. I distinctly remember somebody saying manicure the grass. I guess it doesn't really make sense either way, right? Like it's not like grass maintain. No, that's like too technical. I wouldn't even have like thought of it as a phrase if it was maintain. Might be mow. It might be mow the grass, but I don't think that's it either. I think that like that would have also been like too rote for me to like remember that as a phrase. Is that something that you say? Hang on, I gotta Google something. Manicure the grass. Mm-hmm. Yep. How to get a manicured lawn in 7 easy steps. Garden.com, or gardenseason.com, I should say. So it does need to be a phrase, manicure the grass, but does pedicure the grass work? Pedicure the lawn? Is pedicure the lawn a thing? Okay, yeah, no, pedicure the grass is not a thing for sure, but manicure the grass is. So I kind of got it half right. Right expression, wrong limb. So either way, it's kind of weird, right? Like, I guess I could see it, right? Like, if you talk about like maintenance, a manicure is like would be, you know, shoring up your cuticles and painting your nails, and I think the equivalent that would kind of like translate to grass keeping to some extent. So maybe instead of poking up your cuticles, you would mow the grass. I suppose there's not really much to like. There's not much to lawn care, I don't think. If you're doing it right, you should just need to kind of water it every now and again. I don't think it's not exactly rocket science, I don't think. There we go. Okay, cool. Then, okay, okay, what else could you manicure then? If grass is on the table, not to say that it is, but you know, given that grass is manicuring grass and manicuring the lawn is now on the table, what other kind of translations of skincare slash self care to could we translate to landscaping? No, I think those lines from earlier were fine actually. There we go. They just need to be more tightly packed together like that. Okay, so top contenders that I'm thinking of off the top of my head are probably Jade Roll, the carpet, face mask, the gravel, and hmm. What else? What else could you apply? What else is like considered self care? Bubble bath the bubble bath the hedges. That doesn't sound very healthy for the grass. Is the thing. Yeah. I mentioned it the other day on stream. I did actually end up snapping a picture of that messed up looking face mask that I used. If you weren't there for the story, what essentially happened is that the drugstore near me had a sale on like all the Christmas crap that they didn't end up selling during December. So I made off like a bandit with like some cheap ass face masks, some cheap ass themed holiday face masks, and some kind of packets of hot chocolate, which were great finds. The hot chocolate, especially, was super tasty. But the face mask was of great quality. It was decent quality, but for whatever reason that I can't see fit to judge or empathize with, the people who made this face mask made it look like when you wore the face mask, like it looked like an elf face. I don't know if that's the best way to put it. Like, it's supposed to look like while you're wearing the face mask, you're wearing like just an elf mask. Did I upload this to my own Discord? Hang on. No, I have not yet. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna put this up on stream. Y'all need to see this one. Yeah, I went into my human form because my rice farm doesn't really benefit from face masks. So yeah, this is what it looks like. Now imagine your Pabs 2 or 4 days ago, and you've had a long day. You remember that you picked up a face mask from the drugstore. You go to you set some nice music. You like lie down on your bed. You take out the face mask and immediately almost drop it like it's some kind of radioactive material because you see the peeled face of an elf before you. I didn't even want to look at myself in the mirror when I was wearing this thing, even though it probably would have looked very funny. Like, it's just so disturbing. Why does it have like the ears? Why is it like so round? It looks like it looks like that bit of, hang on, clown ham. There's like this ham sold in the UK, I think, that looks like this. It looks so much like this. It's disturbing. I don't know why. It's just so uncomfortable to me. I don't like looking at it. Anyway. So yeah, I'm never going to do that again. I will probably finish off the hot chocolate packets that I got tonight, though. Or maybe tomorrow night. Tomorrow night I've got like a couple of things that I want to do. I'm finally taking a break from streaming. I've been streaming for 4 days straight, working on this comic page, so I think I deserve a little break. Well, it's not about deserving the break, right? It's about like whether or not you need the break. And I think I could use a break. Okay. So we're gonna like flip this sucker around. Didn't mean to do that. Just a little bit bigger. I keep forgetting that I have this tuned in so that it like grabs the camera rather than the object itself. And boy, that's not a mistake you make very often. Or actually, no, it is a mistake you make often. It's just not one. I think like it is a mistake that you would make often. I think like it's not a super unique mistake. But I do think it's emphasized because this is just such a tiny object, so moving it around, moving the camera around just like sends you flying. Which field is this? Oh, I see. I ended up doing it all in one layer like that. I see. Well, that's fine as well. There we go. Okay. Hang on, I gotta move this thing yet again. There we go. Two, three, four. I declare thumb war. There we go. Okay, here we go. Then... yeah, it's just going to be adjusting this line here and there. How are we for time? Oh, we still got like 45 minutes. We're really good on time, actually. I bet we can finish Panel 2. You know what? I'm going to set this as a challenge for myself. Let's at least try to finish Panel 2 tonight. Yeah, I found that when I need to focus up, more recently, I found that kind of focusing on my breathing helps. Like if that one troll joke where it's like you are now breathing manually to kind of like remind you that like if you were breathing subconsciously before this, I am so sorry. But that is like an old joke that like you are now breathing manually, right? Or you are now blinking manually. That's also a fun one to ruin somebody's approximate 5 or 10 minutes with. Yeah, and I found that like remembering to breathe more consciously when I'm working, if I need to focus, just like focusing on my breathing as I work has helped me focus up a lot. I think maybe it's part of it is just like I am deliberately doing something to focus, you know? It's like a physiological thing tied with like the mental thing. I think that's what makes it particularly powerful for me personally. I don't know, it could just be a pure coincidence as well. Right, my rice brain is infallible and is impervious to any and all distraction, for the most part. Let's see, grab this part here, move it up. There we go. Add a little swoop there. And we have ourselves a very handsome looking gun. Feels weird to use like handsome to describe an object. I still remember the first time I heard the word sexy being used to describe like a non-human object. It was like my roommate in boarding school who was like showing me like a graphics card, which I didn't even know was what that was at that point. I just knew the computer had Minecraft in it at that point. But he showed me like a graphics card, like a very powerful computer and everything. He was like, "Look at that, that's real sexy, right?" And I was like, "What did you just call it?" because the first time somebody uses it outside of the context of like humans, at least to me, it was like wildly. It threw me off completely. Still a fun phrase to like put in your vocabulary, though. Hmm. Okay, two things. First, the head needs to be smaller. Okay, let me just kind of like shrink that there. And that actually does help a little bit with like the, what do you call the, again, proportions. For some reason, this reminds me the culture shock. Yeah, exactly. Like that guy was essentially the Reddit guy. Well, no, that's cruel of him. Yeah, that guy was actually pretty cool. Like, given that he was like an eighth grader rooming with like what was essentially not even a sixth grader, he was a very good sport about the whole thing, all things considered. Yeah, he's also one of the first people who I've ever remember mentioning Bitcoin. Funnily enough, like he was like on the ground floor of that thing. Like he was like, "Oh yeah, dude, there's this thing called Bitcoin, and like it's like currency, but not a real currency, and people use it to buy drugs." And I'm just like sitting here, not even like 13 years old, and I'm just like nodding my head and like being like, "Yes, okay, cool, awesome. I know one more thing about the world now." Not really understanding it, but also getting hyped. He's like, yeah, you buy like these specialized machines to just mine Bitcoin for you. And again, I have to emphasize, this is like 2013, 2012. I think at that point, like Bitcoin was already like a thing, but you know, only among like very select people. Hmm. Yeah, like I feel like your average layman wouldn't know anything about what the hell Bitcoin was. I do remember once reading a comic where like the guy writing the comic was like, "Hey, wasn't there somebody who like tipped me in Bitcoin back in like 2000 9 or something. Well, I wonder how much it's worth now. And he was like, the next panel is just his jaw on the floor. Yeah. I hope wherever he's at it right now, he's doing okay. I think I still occasionally see his, like, I think we were, like, friended on Steam, and I occasionally see his, like, profile pop up. I also remember him playing, like, Fate Extella, which, dude, I don't know what he had to go through to do that, but, I'm rooting for him. I'm kidding. I'm sure it's a perfectly fine game. I just, like, the thing is, right? The properties in the Fate franchise are hit or miss, except for the like original VN. I think most of them are very hit or miss. But I think, like, I remember that, like, Fate Excel for some reason is just kind of like, I don't know. I might be talking out of my ass, but I feel like almost nobody talks about it. Like, people talk about the fact that, like, Wada Arco made art for it because it's, like, gorgeous. But I think that's the only thing that I remember people talking about it for. Yeah. What else do I remember from those days? Yeah, not much, honestly. I feel like those were still the days before I, like, fully gained consciousness as an individual. I think what ended up happening, I think, for a lot of that time is that I was convinced that I could, like, understand English well enough that I wasn't, like, really listening anymore. And it took me a hot minute to, like, realize that I needed to, like, it's not gonna, this doesn't reflect great on me, but yeah, essentially I was really shit at listening in those days until, like, somebody was pointing out, like, hey, dude, listen, you're failing most of your assignments because you're just not reading what the assignment wants you to do, and instead you're just doing whatever the hell you want. Just read the assignment. And I started reading the assignment, like, they give you, like, these grade rubrics or whatever in some of these classes, and I was like, oh, okay, so that's what they want me to do. And I started reading them more often. I was, like, starting to get it. And, after that, I became a very, very good student. And that's still been, like, my secret for, like, academic success is just, like, reading. If you are explicitly provided a criteria of what constitutes good quality, leverage that. That's not always true for every course, but, for the ones that I took, at least, accounting, some business courses especially, they give you, like, rubrics of what they're looking for and, like, expectations of what you can provide. And, listening to those, really paying attention to them, I think is, like, the key to, at least getting out a C. I don't know why I say that. There was that story that somebody was, like, managed to get, like, a, what do you call, one of those, like, AI chat things, Chat GPT or something. It managed to, like, pass an MBA exam or something. Crazy, right? I don't know what that says about, like, people with an MBA, though. I don't know if that says more about the robot or about people with MBAs. Yeah, I keep hearing that phrase, right? MBA this, MBA that. I think it's supposed to be, like, a supplementary postgraduate degree of some kind, but I don't know why you would need it. I guess like any kind of, like, post graduation thing, it's supposed to, like, teach you a very specific set of additional skills in greater depth. Yeah, I know my workplace actually has a way you can, like, essentially take a few courses, do some specific stuff, and you can essentially get an MBA on the job. Are you saying MBA? Yeah. Um, master degree program? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the business one. Yeah. I remember that my workplace does something where, like, you can essentially get an MBA while you work. But I don't remember the details of that. I wasn't really interested in it. I'd like to further my education on my own terms. Thank you very much. Hmm. There we go. Does that look weird for the leg? That looks a little weird for the leg. I think the boot part is a little bit wide. Yeah, I think just in general, the leg looks kind of awkward here. I think it would need to be like raised further up. Like so. Okay, yep. And then I can just twist a foot a little bit to the right hand for her. And that'll solve my problems. There we go. There we go. That still looks a little bit twisted. Let me try something here. Wrong. Hang on. So what I'm planning to do here is I'm just going to grab these lines right here, bring them out, more or less straighten them out, grab them again, flatten them a little bit, and then put them back closer to the edge of the boot here. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted it to look like. What does MBA stand for anyway? Not NBA, MBA. Master of Business Administration. There we go. Okay. Every time I Google something like that on stream, I remember that one quote that's like, that's a hell of a mystery that nobody thought was a mystery and didn't even really need solving. But damn if it didn't get solved, so nice work. Because I feel like that's like what 90% of both my just like everything in life is about. Like it's understanding about stuff that you weren't really interested in to begin with, but you kind of like benefited from learning about anyways. Oh no, that's a bit of an exaggeration. I wouldn't say most of life is like that. I'm just saying a concerning amount of it is. Homestuck in this stream? More likely than you think. We've been talking about Homestuck lately for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's time I finally reread that beast. Who knows? With my more fully developed brain, I fully developed my brain just to scramble again reading that fucking webcomic. Why not? Actually, wait, isn't your brain supposed to be like fully developed like in your 30s? So I still got a few years to go before the The bourbon of my cerebral bourbon is ripe for uncasking. Longer than One Piece. God, yeah, I think there was like an official statistic for that. It's very long, longer than One Piece. I mean, I have read Homestuck before. I did like follow it before, before it ended, and I was very hyped for like the epilogue as well until like it did me dirty. God, the fucking epilogue. Also, I don't know if the site works now since JavaScript isn't really a thing or not. Hmm. I remember that for a lot of it. Yeah, the Flash thing. Right, 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 right. Yeah. I mean, I remember that somebody like essentially made like a non browser version of Homestuck essentially that retained a lot of the Flash games and everything. That might be worth looking into. Oh yeah, I'm actually kind of liking how the legs turned out right here. Although, hang on, I'm gonna try something real quick. No, good luck, Rice Boy. Thank you. I'm going to need it. Come to think of it, wasn't Rice Boy another name of another webcomic that was like popular? I remember at one point reading a webcomic called Rice Boy. Hmm. I've read a lot of webcomics is the thing. Not all of them to completion, and not all of them like well, but I've read a lot. More webcomics than I've read regular comics at the very least. I don't. I never like got a chance to like get into Western comics. I think because I feel like to get into Western comics, you either need to have like the dedication to like want to learn more about like Spider-Man, and I mean I had that dedication, but I didn't like have the resources. Which brings me to my second point: to like be a Western comic fan, you also need to be near a comic store that sells comics because outside of the US, getting comics is kind of difficult. Or I mean, at least like outside of North America, getting comics is a little bit difficult. So webcomics, which are easily accessible through the internet, were much more easy for me, at least personally, to access. Hmm. How are we for time? We still got half an hour. That reminds me that I looked up the Good Riddance song from Hades on YouTube, and I found while I was browsing like the different songs from the soundtrack, I found somebody had made a disco remix of one of the songs from the game, and I have been like grooving to it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Although it did kind of spoil me a little bit of what happens if you try to take the bag of gold from Charon. Yeah, nobody gets a theme that awesome without it being a hidden boss. Okay, let me shrink that foot up a little bit here. Let me thicken the lines up a little bit too. Hmm. And this leg is going to kind of like come out from over here. Hmm. Okay, and that's gonna kind of swoop in like this. I'm on the right layer, right? Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. Wasn't there that also, speaking of Flash being dead, wasn't there also that one project that's been going around trying to like catalog most of the Flash stuff that existed before, you know, Adobe did the dick move shutting it down? Flashpoint, I think that's the name of it. Man, I kind of want to go back and go delve in there and try to see if I can find any like room decoration games. I remember being super big into those as a kid. Yeah, I think the reason I never got all that into Animal Crossing is because I already tuckered out all my interior design sensibilities. You know, I already fried those playing all those games all that time ago. There we go. There we go. Yeah, the most difficult part about like doing big flowy dress sequences like this, right, is to me kind of like bringing it all together and making sure that like the fabric of the dress stays consistent in terms of like width and everything. Yeah. The thing that has helped me realize the most about like how to draw clothing, I think, is definitely the realization that all clothing has texture. And since I've realized that, my life has not known peace. Straight up, getting better at drawing sucks. It's a scam. Because now I will know that something isn't right, like, and I'll know why it is. It's because the texture isn't right. But I'll have like a hard time realizing like what I need to do to correct it. Yeah, knowing what the problem is but not knowing how to solve it is my personal hell. You know, my when I was learning how to do math with like my dad always helped me with like math problems, right? If I couldn't do a math problem, he would always like sit there and help me out with them because he's a good father and a very cool guy. But what he told me and what I still kind of like stick to as general advice is that you always need a plan, right? If you have a problem before you, you need a plan to solve it, and then you can like just execute that plan and you'll be fine. Yeah. And it worked. It worked great. Like usually after that, what my problem would be is that like I wouldn't like get like a specific detail of the problem quite right, and that's usually what would be the problem. So I just had to read problems very carefully. But you know, that's kind of like what I go into art also. You know, including everything, including art. I kind of go into it thinking like, okay, I need a plan of some kind to support me. You know, if I have a plan, I'll be all right. And that's why drawing clothing is a little bit difficult because even if you have a plan, even if you understand what's wrong and what the problem is and how to solve it, you don't. The solution is still very difficult to brain out. At least for me, you know. I think it's definitely like a matter of personal experience. Not to mention my style. Like for example, I imagine like even like chibi artists probably need to keep like clothing texture and everything in mind when they're drawing. I think them in particular because, like, you have so little to work with for a chibi character. You kind of need to make all the lines count. Let's see here. This kind of looks a little bit like a peg leg, huh? So, robot pirate maid. I think at that point it's starting to become like a parody. Yeah, I found out that you can essentially stuff as many inspirations to something as you want, so long as you don't explicitly point them all out at once. So like for example, what would be a good example actually? Like for example, the Jedi from Star Wars, right? So Jedi are kind of from Star Wars, as near as I can figure it out, right? Are space warriors who use psychic powers to, defend the galaxy and maintain the balance of the Force. So that's a pretty like cut and dry explanation. That makes sense. That's understandable. It's digestible. But in reality, what Jedi actually are space samurai who use laser beam katanas to, you know, uphold a vague sense of justice. And I think there's also like cowboy elements in their throne as well. I'm not sure. But as soon as like you kind of like use the phrase like space samurai, right? I feel like that's when that's when people started rolling their eyes. People will want like awesome mashups of things, but they won't want to admit that it's cool. I think that's like a big thing of the media landscape today is that people want awesome things, but they just don't want to understand that the components of it are also what's awesome. I don't know if that makes sense at all. I feel like it. I feel like I made my point. Okay, then we can just cut these bits here. And actually, I'm going to need to like raise this bit up significantly because I think that is a little bit too low for the waist ribbon. Hmm. At least I think the ribbon's supposed to tie around their waist. It is supposed to be like the part of the apron, so it makes sense, I guess. Hang on, I gotta get rid of this cut line for a minute. I can bring it back whenever I want, it's fine. Let me connect these two as well. And bring it in like this. So then I think maybe what would be a better choice would be to maybe over here add a little bit more of that. Okay, yeah, I think that works. Also, I need to get rid of the background just very quickly. There we go. Oh my god, that's going to be so much better. Okay, breath of fresh air. Yoink. No, that okay. I'm gonna need to figure out this other leg at some point, but not right now. Or maybe even like, hang on. Okay, yes. Yes, we can do this. Okay. Okay, how's the background looking? Okay, yeah, that foot is well above the ground. We are clear. Magnificent. Okay, connect these two lines together. Hotwire the car. That does feel sometimes like what it. That is sometimes what it feels like connecting two random vector lines together. It does feel like you're trying to hotwire a car. You know, you have two wires. You need to put them together, and if you do it wrong, and if you do it badly enough, the police will come. That's not true. I think that whenever there is like an accident with the vector lines and the manipulation thereof, it does feel like there's been like a massive incident, but really it's not that big of a deal. I think it's because you were expecting it to do something else, but it didn't do that. I think that's why it's more of a shock than really anything else. Although I think that is like the core of many things, though. I know that at least in my family, we have like this phrase that says like "le dolió el susto," which essentially means, you know, it didn't actually hurt that much, whatever happened, but like the fact that they were scared was what damaged them. Yeah, you know, so like if like you know you like if somebody like spooks you on accident, you'll fall over and you might like fall on your ass, right? And they'll ask you, and like you know, it wouldn't actually hurt that much, but it'll feel like it hurts because you're just like so scared at that moment. That's kind of like the concept behind it. Come to think of it, that could also be applied to a lot of like different other factors of stress, right? Like none of the stress is actually hurting you. You know, if you've got like something like something cooking on the back burner, um, the stress of it isn't actually what's you know the stress theoretically speaking isn't like physically harming you, but it's like hurting you still. You know, it's not like stress can like grab a baseball bat and like smack you around. But it can produce cortisol, which is pretty bad as well. Mm, okay. There we go. Yeah, I think sometimes about like the stories that I share on stream, right? I think of like, okay, how do I spin this particular situation into making me sound the least like an idiot? And I like to think that I have a pretty good success rate, but the thing is, right? It's very difficult to do that because in many situations, being an idiot is what caused the funny story to manifest in the first place. Yeah, what was that one like really creepy advertisement about beer Like, what did it say? Like, because no exciting night ever started with, and then we all drank water, or something like that. Okay, and then over here, I have no idea. Yeah, let me look it up. Story began with. I think it was like a whiskey advertisement. I think that it was either like whiskey or tequila, one of those like really difficult, those like really hardcore party drinks, or hard, at least hardcore per my understanding of them. Again, keep in mind, I am not I'm not like a very alcohol adjacent person. Come to think of it, if I have alcohol, I usually just add it to whatever I'm cooking rather than drink it myself. Yeah, my food gets drunk more regularly than I do. Ain't that always the way? Yeah. I'm happy that like being, you know, not a particularly big fan of alcohol has started to like be reduced in stigma these past couple of years, or at least per my understanding of it. And from what I've seen, it has, because nowadays, whenever there's like a party at the office or whatever, and this could just be because we have, a very diverse kind of like group of people on board, some of whom may not drink alcohol, period. But I'm noticing there's like better non-alcoholic options. Like if they don't have like a juice or anything, they will like provide like non-alcoholic beer or something. And again, I have to reiterate, because I've talked about it before. The brand that makes non-alcoholic beer near where I live, it makes actually like really good, makes a really good one. Like it's very tasty. Not like I would buy this to drink it on its own kind of tasty, mind you, but for what it is, it's perfectly tolerable. Like definitely like toothsome. I don't think toothsome is a word that you use to describe a drink, but I will venture forth and try it anyway. Hang on, let me Google something real quick. Toothsome, right? Does toothsome just mean tasty? I think like it might. Delicious, luscious, and pleasant or attractive. Okay. Yeah, okay, so it does just mean that something is tasty. That's good to know. I was worried that it had actually something to do with texture, and then I would have been well and truly screwed. Hmm. Maybe then moving the curve around. Hang on. I've got an idea. I'm going to get rid of the curve for now. I might draw it on a separate layer. There we go. Maybe I can shorten this sleeve up a little bit. How are we for time? We still got a few. We still got time, I think. Let me just try and finish this panel. Although, hang on. Okay. This should do it. Then over here we'll have the chainsaw, which I'm going to so desperately try to edit so that it doesn't look like like straight up like an Amogus. I chose to carry this burden when I was designing this weapon. I will see it through to the end. I think having the little handlebar back here helps a little bit with it. Doesn't destroy the problem completely, but you know, it helps. Every little bit a new extra little benefit. Yep. No. Kind of like that. I think that works. Simplify a vector line. Yeah, okay. Now we're working with something. Now I got something cooking. Ever since I found out that apparently the phrase "cooking with gas" was almost quite certainly like a mimetic phrase used by like people who sell gas stoves, I've been trying to avoid using it. Which is probably like far more paranoid than I need to be about the whole idea, but I don't like treading on that possibility. I also thought it meant like cooking with gasoline, not just like normal natural gas that's used in like, what do you call, in like a normal stove. I also thought it meant like literally cooking with gasoline. Like, man, if they are cooking with gasoline, that must be quite the spicy dish they're making. And hopefully not meant for human consumption or the consumption of any living creature. Yeah, there was that one joke that went around, I think not too long ago, where somebody was like, "Hey, apparently, like gasoline has like 30,000 calories, or something like that. And if you drink one bit of gasoline, you'll never like need to eat again for the rest of your life because you'll have all the calories you need already." And somebody had to gently point out that, strictly speaking, you're absolutely true. If you drink gasoline, you'll never have to eat anything again, but not for the reason you think. Funniest thing, I like it, especially like how gentle the person who like made the retort was. Like, it was like, strictly speaking, you're absolutely correct. There we go. There we go. Technically correct is the best kind of correct. This is true. Yeah. What was that thing? What was that thing that like Sun Tzu said one time? Not the one that like, if fighting will result in victory, then you must fight. But if you can win without fighting, then that's the greatest victory of all, or something like that. That's what a technical win is to me, or what being technically correct is to me. Every time I remember Sun Tzu, I remember the friggin' Meet the Soldier video. um, if you've never heard of it before, there was a very popular shooter game called Team Fortress 2. It's still fairly popular. It's still operational, I believe. And as a way to advertise the game, they made small cinematic trailers for what each of the classes in the game could do. And the soldiers is like a very unhinged rant where he's like, okay, let me try to recite it from memory. Um, if you are to win as a result of fighting, then you must fight. Sun Tzu said that, and I think he knows a little bit more about war than you do, mister, because he invented it, and then he perfected it until no man could best him in the field of honor. And then he took his fight money, and then he put 2 of each of every animal on an ark, and then he beat the crap out of them. And that's why now, whenever we have a bunch of animals together, it's called a zoo. Unless it's a farm. it's I think that was the punchline, that he just like set up the idea of like the animals being together being a zoo because of Sun Tzu, and then unless it's a farm. I think that was supposed to be the punchline. I really got to revisit those videos one of these days. Yeah. Rather than like the Sun Tzu's The Art of War, the one that I know a little bit more about is actually the Book of 36 Stratagems, which is essentially like a pamphlet-size brochure of 36 tried and tested strategies that work out pretty consistently, just by virtue of them being like they are literally some of the oldest tricks in the book, which is why they work so often. And my personal favorite is stratagem 36, which is if all else fails, retreat. I do think that that's really funny that like in this book of stratagems of like things, for example, called the empty fort strategy or feign madness but keep your balance. The very final and ultimate strategy is just run away if nothing else works. He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. Mm. How do I make the apron work in this one? Okay, first I think I need to reduce the dress size. Or at least like switch around to the way it's flowing in some places. Or actually, no, hang on. This might just work by itself, I think. Or no, hang on. No, that looks weird. I'll keep it as is, or as was. Okay, and then right here, there's going to be the apron. There we go. I feel like this foot needs to be further back. Like both of these feet need to be further back for this pose to make more sense. No, hang on. I think another thing that's bothering me about this is that one of the foot that's like closer to the camera is actually smaller than the foot that isn't. So I think another way to help with this on the perspective with this is to just grab here. I'm gonna drink some water. I'm out of water. I can't. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, false alarm. I thought I like needed water, but my throat just needed to be cleared a little bit. It's all good. And then maybe. Okay. Yeah, because I think I'm trying to figure out like the hip situation under the dress here. Okay, I see what's going on. Okay, and I'm also going to move the other foot back there a little bit. Like, these almost need to be perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, parallel to the ground. Two very different things, those things that I just said. Then... Come on, bud. Then I think if we, having done that, we can actually put this one a little higher up again. We just need to change the tilt on it. Okay. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. Let me see it without the guides and everything. Nope. Something about this is still super wrong. I think it's the back being bent like that. I think also because like neither of these, like, because the waist is like that, it doesn't really show like which side her chest is facing. You know, which side is the front of her, so to speak. I think that's why it's also causing a little bit of disharmony. Okay, yep. This is a good place for those action lines. Then over here, gonna get rid of these guys. There's no real purpose to these guys right now. Oh, wait, I know exactly what I need to do. Add a little bit of like a little dash step here. Okay, I'm going to take off the background again, just real quick. Then over here. Okay, which one of the playlists is this? Because this music kind of sucks. Hang on, let me skip this. I feel like the first half was much better than the second half on that one. Sometimes it's helpful for the spirit to just like take a step back, realize what you're listening to, and say to yourself with a disturbing amount of frankness, what I'm listening to actually kind of sucks. It's important to be able to do that. It's critical for your health. And then a little bit of the apron poking out in front of here. Nice. And I think like I would need to like make this part of the apron a straight line so as to not distract from the leg back here, which is also part of the apron. Okay. And then the action line is going to be back here. Yeah, I think a nice and simple one will be sufficient for this. There we go. Sometimes you gotta pop your thumb a little bit. Have I been remembering to draw from the shoulder? Well, I have or I haven't. Yeah, I think that is like, the caveat to that idea I brought up earlier, right? You are now manually breathing, you're now manually swallowing, etc. I think a caveat to that idea, or like an almost like benefit to it, is that if you kind of like think to yourself of a habit you want to build, not necessarily like a daily habit, right? I don't think it'll work like that, but if it's like a physical habit, I think being able to immediately make yourself conscious of whether or not you're doing it is going to be very helpful in learning that physical habit. But even developing that takes lots of time, I think. Maybe it's just kind of like how your technique gets sloppy the more you exercise, right? Like people say that you shouldn't like push yourself too hard when you're doing like your repetitions on like an exercise machine, because then you're gonna start losing your form. You're not gonna be as efficient when you work out. It's gonna be dangerous and hazardous to your health, etc. I think it's a similar idea. Once you've been looking at a drawing for hours and hours, you stop being able to tell apart the details. And I think that's why it's very important sometimes to like take a second look in maybe the morning or something to see like what you've wrought. And hey, sometimes it's good. Sometimes what you've done in your like confused and dazed state is great. But it's also important to like, give yourself that little bit of an extra edge without sacrificing everything. Okay, I think that's panel 2 done. And I think that what I actually need to do is actually make Hawk a little bit bigger. Where's Hawk? This is going to be such a muck-up to sort out. But yeah, okay. Also, I forgot that the maid needs to have, like, first of all, the kind of like the collar of the dress, and they also need the thing about the apron around the neck. The neck strap? Is that what that part of the apron is called? The neck loop. That's probably what it's called, the neck loop. Alright. I think we've done good work here. I'm just about ready to start my little break. There we go. Oh, I just made the hat bigger. Yeah, why not? Thanks to everybody who came by the stream. I hope you'll have a great rest of your evening. I think I'm just going to end things here. Thank you for stopping by and keeping me company. I'll see you all on Saturday, or yes, on Saturday for some Hades. See you later. Bye.